Good morning, everybody. Dale Robbins, Rich Violette, and Associate Head Coach of the Northwood Timberwolves, E.J. Arnold. And it's Northwood Replay Episode 9. Means we are entering Week 9. Happy end of October to you, the final day ever of October 2019. And happy Halloween for those that celebrate that. There's enough going on at the library this morning that I'm thinking about going out to the truck and getting the bag and just walking station to station.
You and me both.
These kids are making out like bandits around here. So it's great to have you back this morning as we rediscover where we just were on Saturday against Wayne State at home, and take a look in this program what we do and what we're preparing for next weekend, which will be our 9th contest of 2019 on the football field. So, Coach E.J. Arnold, great to have you back.
Great to be
this
back.
morning. Before we drill into last Saturday, let's get an update on Coach Haynes and how that patient is treating life and back to your program.
Yeah, patient's a good way to put it. He's got a little bit of cabin fever right now, but he was at practice yesterday, walking around a little bit. You know, he's been to some doctor's appointments, had another one last night, and has one follow-up today and everything. So just looking to get some answers for, you know, what's ailing him and whatnot. But again, he was at practice and able to walk around for a little bit. So that was uplifting for our guys to see him and everything. And like I said last week, our players have stayed the course and done a great job with it as he's getting back to health.
And our prayers and thoughts continue to go to he and his family.
For sure.
This is not a place he's used to being in, so he needs those continued thoughts and prayers. So we'll continue to do that for you, Coach. Let's go to Saturday, and the second game under your belt as a head coach. This time you had your dad by your side, but the outcome was a loss, a 31-10 loss against Wayne State. Wayne State has moved to 4-1 in the GLIAC, and that drops you guys to 0-5 in the GLIAC. There were some things we talked about a week ago in Northwood Replay, knowing the type of explosive team that they are, and they love to get a lead and go ball control and control the clock. They were able to do that right out of the chute on their first play from scrimmage. Sense for me a little bit, because you prepare all week long to stop something like that and keep that game in possession. When that happens, it's like the air out of a balloon. And you guys were able to then carry on the rest of the game and really play a fairly reasonable game on both sides of the ball and with special teams. But that is a tough hurdle when you've worked so hard to do that. Where did you as a head coach go, that's not what we needed to have happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we came out and had a decent drive going, and we didn't finish drives throughout the whole game, and whether it be in the red zone or just in general. And then we get a great punt where Parker pins them inside the 10-yard line at the 6.
At their 6,
and, you know, again, we had talked all week to our defense about stopping the run, but then Coach Luke kind of knew that they were going to go over the top with some play action, so we actually had a great call to double cover the wide receiver, but our guys had a lack of discipline on the play, and they had their eyes in the backfield, and the play action got us, and number 1, Darreese Robinson for them, ran by us, and he's a phenomenal wide receiver.
Yes, he is.
And so we just lost that momentum right off the get-go, and a lot of what happened throughout the game we attributed to on Sunday was mental toughness, to not allow, you know, negative plays and bad things happening deviate us from the goal. And I think we let down a little bit at times, whether it was the officiating, we had some penalties that we didn't agree with, or the big plays.
We didn't understand a couple of them.
Yeah,
they marked off like 30 yards, and I'm like, they're getting them. They don't even know how to mark it off right.
There were some tough ones. You go back and watch the film, and again, to say I didn't agree with it is I'm just going to leave it at that. But you know, we just have to be more mentally tough and bounce back from things, and not let one play determine the outcome of a game. We have to fight back. We have to claw back and find some more positivity and energy.
Quickly on that, you said you planned for Robertson because he is a great receiver. He ends up with about 150 yards of offense in the air. 94 of those came on that opening play. So, in all fairness, that you prepared for, you really shut their top gun down the rest of the game, but he did his damage early.
He did his damage early, and, you know, again, we had talked about him all week as being a factor, whether it was as a receiver or as a returner in their return game and stuff. So we just have to make plays. We have to have better discipline. That was a big point of emphasis this week, is being disciplined both on and off the field. And so when we do it right, you know, we make plays and we do it well. It just has to be a stringing it together and be more consistent for 60 minutes.
Not to make excuses for any players or any of the secondary, but when you got them pinned down there at that goal line, you're aggressive and you want to come downhill. So I can understand how it happened, but you're right. Discipline. You need to be disciplined in that situation. Between that, to basically start the game, you take that off the board. And you mentioned red zone scoring. They were 4 for 4. We were 0 for 3. And it's been kind of a problem all year long. And I feel like if we get some of those red zone scores, that's a totally different game.
Oh, yeah, it packages it differently.
So,
especially early on, because again, we had some opportunities in the first half, and instead of 21-3 at halftime, who knows? It's going to be 21-17, 21-14.
Exactly.
And that's a different mindset for our guys at halftime to believe a little bit more. And that they see the scoreboard, and that deflates them a little bit at the half. But if we can execute better in the red zone, then it's going to be a different halftime adjustment and whatnot. So a lot of that, too, again, was self-inflicted. We had some penalties again, and that put us back. And now we're attempting 50-yard field goals instead of attempting chip shot field goals. And, again, we just have to execute. So Coach Rietma, big point of emphasis Sunday going into a big point of emphasis all week. We practiced it all week. We made sure our guys were taking care of the football. But, again, self-inflicted wounds. Joe with an intentional grounding, details, things of that nature that took points off the board for us.
So there's plenty of positives we can take out of this game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And one of them is we need to be disciplined, right?
Yes.
We know that.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure there's others.
And the big point of emphasis going into last week was coming off the Ferris game, where again some self-inflicted stuff, whether it's interceptions or big plays, that Northwood controls Northwood, and we let some external factors throughout the game. Again, big play on the first one with a 94-yard touchdown, some calls that didn't go our way, things of that nature. We let that mentally drain us a little bit too much instead of fighting back from that.
Before we go to the highlights, you did a great job of turning to the team and shutting them down when they were getting on the refs. Mm-hmm. You took control of that situation. It wasn't going against us. We were not happy either.
Well, we could have used you in the box.
But I'm telling you, I was proud of you turning to your team and saying, enough.
Yep.
You'll handle that.
Made mention of
not
that.
the team.
Absolutely.
So,
and again, that's their focus should be on their assignment, should be on their team, should be encouraging and on the game, not on the officials and things like that. And to be honest with you, when I went back and watched the whole thing, Wayne State had some horrendous calls on them too. There were calls that Coach Winters, I'm sure, was looking at on Sunday thinking that they got some too. We had 11 penalties, they had 10, but it's up to me, it's up to Leonard when he's on the sidelines to handle the refs. It's up to our players to focus on their assignments and their jobs, and we talked a lot about that Sunday.
You called them positives to come out of the game with. We in TV, we call them highlights. So we might as well take a look at that because we've got some of those, Coach, if you run through that with us.
Yeah, this is our first drive of the game, and we had great field position throughout the game. They did not kick the ball deep to us. So Cash Goldsmith, who were continuing to get healthy, had a great game running the football here. Joe here on a quarterback run later on in the game does a great job trying to split the defense. Just got finished blocks right there by Joe Clifford, and we'll spring that for even more later on. Again, here you see Joe doing a great job of escaping the pocket, throwing to Christian Martinez, who was great to have him back, and Bryant Kieft. We're getting healthy at a good point right now. We had missed some guys for a couple weeks, and to have some guys back is good. Joe here just making a play, a little bit of a high snap, and he turns a negative into a positive. Again, right there, we control that, but we have to finish down there in the red zone when we get those opportunities. You can see here we're still at 0. Nate comes in. This is one of the best throws I've ever seen. To be able to take that shot.
Knew he was going to take it too.
Throw
we
it right
talked
on the
about
numbers.
it too, yeah.
He's really growing in front of our eyes. I'm really loving what Nate's capable of doing. Here down in the red zone for them, we do a great job here. Luke Baker and Eric Santiago coming and breaking up a pass to the tight end, kind of one of those play action jump passes that Wayne State does. I think we see it here again. So nice, you just have to see it twice for the breakup on it. But our guys did a good job of reading their keys right there, and again, playing with good eye discipline on a 3rd and 1. We have to do that throughout the game. Here, Bryant Wright, sophomore out of the Chicago area. Great to get him going a little bit. He's a dynamic player, a quarterback converted into a slot. He can go, and when we get him the ball in space, he's pretty dynamic.
Top rusher of your game on Saturday.
Yeah, here was a play that me as a coach, as a quarterback's coach, say, no, oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Good choice.
Kevin Schnick, again, having a great season as a sophomore, doing a great job just going up and getting the jump ball there. And again, it's 24-3 at this time. We got to convert. This is just a goofy play. Joe trying to make a play off Christian's shoulder pad. Tosh Leslie, sophomore out of Florida, coming in and making a play. And, we get the ball down here, and we got to go convert, and we got to go score. Unfortunately, Joe threw an interception there. Here's our option game at work. Again, Bryant right there on 4th and 3, doing a great job getting the ball and going out. And you can see there, again, it would be easy to give up down 28 there, but our guys are battling. They're fighting. Here, Joe coming out on a bootleg, throwing it to Bryant Kieft. You want to talk about happy to have somebody back. A guy with his ability and his magnitude and just his passion for the game.
We were excited to call his number again, Coach.
We could feel 14 out there. It was great to have him back.
Yep.
So, down at the wire here again, very easy for our guys to have given up. You can see great pressure here by Grant Beers, sophomore, D lineman, and then Noah Brown getting an interception there. You know, again, great to see it. Our guys never gave up. And I told Coach Ream on this last drive here, I said, you know, Zach, go score. We need to go score a touchdown here. Let's not just sit on this. Let's go score a touchdown and get some momentum. And Nate, after fumbling the snap, does a great job of making a play here and getting out and going. Like to see him take care of his body a little bit more as a quarterback, but that's who he is. And then gets a great strike here to a sophomore, Marcus Sanders, out of Canton, Michigan, and a great move there. And great to see Marcus go. Marcus had a great week of practice, so it was great to see him.
His first score of the year.
His first score of the year. So again, that's just showing that Marcus, who hasn't played as much as he'd like to this year, but he had a great week of practice. For him to go out and contribute was great to see at the end of the game there.
So, Coach, you see our final 31-10 versus Wayne State. They moved to 4-1 in the GLIAC and just trail Grand Valley and Ferris, of course. Here's let's take a look at the rest of the results from a week ago.
Ferris State, a great game against Saginaw. I think J. Rue Campbell, who was the player of the week in the GLIAC, had almost 600 yards of offense himself. He had a great game, and so that was, you know, a dominant performance by them. Ashland and Michigan Tech, that score doesn't surprise me. That was probably a slobber knocker of a game between those two teams and everything, but Ashland got back on track after losing to Wayne. And then I've watched a little bit of that Grand Valley Davenport game. God bless those kids for playing through the rain the way they did. That was kind of like the Michigan Notre Dame game. It was pouring rain in Allendale, and Grand Valley did a good job of coming out on top. So, you know, here are the standings again. We're not satisfied with where we're at. You know, we play Northern this week, and somebody's going to get their first conference win, and we have to make sure that we do everything we can to come out on top of that. Ferris State and Grand Valley on a collision course, not this week, you know, but next week in the Anchor Bowl and whatnot. So, and there it is again. You can see the GLIAC, very, very good football right there. You know, again, we're not satisfied. We need to get a win on the left side of that column and everything, but there's some good football teams. Wayne State is a very good football team who we just played. You know, we've had a very tough schedule. I think our schedule is number 4 ranked or 3 ranked in the country in terms of toughness. Right. But at the same time, we have to do our job and not worry about that. There's no excuses. We have to get a win.
They sustained 3 drives after the big score, and they took a lot of time off the clock doing that. So, 1, they kept the ball, they used the clock, but 2, our defense was tough for the most part. We made them earn those next 3 scores.
Absolutely.
We really did.
Absolutely.
Well, and we had talked about it a week ago that, you know, we had not given up the big play in the first 5-6 games of the year this year. And last year, that was kind of our Achilles a little bit. And the big play were making the difference in 2018. So it seemed like that had remedied. And I said, we knock on Formica. The last couple of games, those big plays have been the difference makers.
Absolutely.
And we know that you guys continue to prepare this team for what's up, not what was. And what's exciting for us is we mentioned him in the highlights is you're getting some of your offensive firepower back, and we're going to get a chance to get inside the helmet and beneath the shoulder pads of a standout wide receiver for you early, and we're going to receive a receiver right in your chair after this break on Northwood Replay, episode 9. Stay where you're at. Let's meet an offensive player right here. Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you along. Dale Robbins, Rich Violette, and we now hit number 14, the favorite number 14 in your Northwood Timberwolf program in 2019, sophomore wide receiver Bryant Kieft. And Bryant joins us this morning as having been out for about 5 weeks, and I shared it with Coach Arnold while we were in our first segment. It was just fun to call your name again. All of a sudden, I'm going 14. It looked familiar. I know it wasn't K13. I went, that's Kieft, he's back out there. So we made a note and we highlighted it in our programs. But it is great to have you back on the field, and that's just for us. How are you doing back on the field?
It's great to be out there. I mean, it was tough watching from the sideline. Sure. And I'm a high energy guy, so like I was real antsy to get out there, but I was just trying to make my impact on the sideline, kind of bringing energy every day, kind of like a goofy energy, just kind of keeping the spirits high. But it was great to strap up and be out there with the team again.
What happened when you got hurt initially, and then we thought maybe you were out for the season?
Yeah, so we weren't really sure at first what was going on. My ankle just got real big, nasty colors. It ended up just being a high ankle sprain and a bone chip on the inside of my ankle.
Just a bone chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Sure, could have ended up worse. You're right.
But John and Kate really did take care of me. They were great. I was in there quite often, and they really put me through some intense treatment and got me back on the field sooner than everybody
Talk
thought.
just a little, Bryant, about the training staff, because I think that's a part of the college football game that people don't necessarily, connect to all the time. But you guys take some hits. You guys are dinged up constantly, and it's always, you're typically ready for next Saturday unless it's a high ankle sprain with a chip. But you guys are constantly being treated in that realm to get your bodies healthy for an extremely active, violent football career in college.
Right.
So those guys are vital to you even if you're not carrying an injury.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, behind the scenes they do a lot more, and it probably goes underappreciated by a lot of people on the outside. But I mean, John and Kate for the football team, it's like Mom and Dad, like they take care of us greatly, and we really appreciate them. They do a great job. Well,
I'm excited to have you back because finally I get a chance to. I've given you a middle name, and it happens to be Dun-dun-dun, Dun-dun-dun. So you were represented in a huge catch that you had in week 3, and you ended up making SportsCenter's top 10. You were number 8 of 10, as a matter of fact. And then Randy Moss used you as an example to get Moss, the fellow that you caught a ball over.
Awesome.
A little town of Waterville. And you're here doing supply chain management in Midland, Michigan, and all of a sudden you're on the big stage. And what was interesting when we brought that up to Coach Haynes the week following, and that catch, we saw it twice on the highlight reel, was that you're making catches like that. Coach Haynes says he does it all the time in practice. He's making catches like that. I know you don't think about it. It's kind of like riding a bike. Is that something that you've just been able to do naturally? Is that something that is just a mechanics for you? Tell us a little bit about that kind of command that you have as a receiver.
It really boils down to ball skills. Been working on that since I was young. Out playing catch with my dad. He always threw a little extra hard.
Sure, and high.
That's what dads do.
Everybody tell him to take it easy. He's like, well, if he can catch this, he can catch it from a 7th grade quarterback.
There you go.
I mean, thanks to him, but also the quarterback's confidence in me and my confidence in them. They know where to put the ball, and I know if they trust me to make that play, then I'm going to go up and make the play for them.
Sure.
We were on that call too, because when you played it back,
we made
Dale was
ESPN
calling
too,
it, and I was screaming touchdown. and your life must have changed crazy that week with family and friends and social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a memory. That's a cool memory of a lifetime, really.
Yeah, it was real awesome, and it was like almost like a dream come true. Like, it was cool growing up watching SportsCenter, and then like you see your name on there and you see yourself out there.
Yeah.
It was kind of great. It was great to be on there, and thankful. Hopefully, maybe it can happen again.
In the couple of minutes we have left, I want to ask you, because you guys are next man up mentality at every position, even at the coaching position, by the way, as you're seeing, that K13, Noah Kenningschnet, has been able to kind of rise. You are still the 3rd leading receiver after having missed 5 weeks at Northwood. And Noah is now in a position on number 2 because he's really had a chance to grow. You guys are both sophomores, or he's a redshirt freshman. You guys have a core without a Gary Landless of last year who you would have played with a little bit.
Yep.
You guys are now that leading core of receivers. How's that responsibility sitting on you?
I mean, me and Noah coming in the same class, just kind of our off-season meeting kind of challenged that to kind of take over the lead receiver role. And around the team, the coaches like to call us the Bash Brothers because we look real similar and we're bigger. But him and I, we stepped up for the challenge. I mean, we put in work in the off-season, and it's just we feel like we have a dynamic and a little swagger to it. I mean, we like to go out there and make big plays.
Indeed, you do.
And when I make a big play, he feels like it's him. And when he makes a big play, I feel like it's me because we're like one and the same. And he's a pretty good friend of mine.
There's that brotherhood again, Coach.
Besides, for sure. Besides catching the ball, everybody knows what the wide receiver does: catch the ball, run for daily, right?
Right.
What other responsibilities do you have that the general audience doesn't know about?
If you're a receiver in Northwood's offense, you have to be able to perimeter block, or you will not play. And they
Excellent.
make
I like that.
They make that a very, very. They hold you very highly to be a good blocker. So, Coach Rima and Coach Arnold really hit home with balancing and buzzing, shooting your hands, winning the breastplate. But yeah, blocking is huge in the offense. That the spread option we have going. So.
Well, Bryant, just like that, 7 minutes is behind us. This has been awesome. It went way too fast because Coach Violette's got 7 more questions he wants to ask you.
For sure.
He's not going to get to them. So we wish you nothing but the huge success against the Wildcats in your second week back. And it's been great to have you here. Continued success on and off the football field. You got Go M.A.D Friday coming up tomorrow.
Yep.
You all set for that?
Yep.
All right, Go M.A.D.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
You bet. You bet. We'd do it again, as a matter of fact. Just like that, we took you inside the huddle. Wide receiver, perimeter blocker, Bryant Kieft here at Northwood Replay. We're going to talk a little Northern Michigan Wildcat football with Coach E.J. Arnold, and we'll do that right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our final segment of episode 9. It's week 9 of Northwood Replay here on MCTV in the first level of the Grace A. Down Memorial Library. Dale Robbins, Rich Violette, and Associate Head Coach of the Northwood Timberwolves, E.J. Arnold. So we get a chance to kind of get a coach's impression of an impact player on their squad, and Bryant Kieft is one of those for you. Can you share a little insight from a coach's perspective on that young fella for us?
Yeah, you know, we felt very fortunate to get Bryant 2 years ago, coming from Watervliet, a smaller town and everything, and he was recruited by some other schools, but we felt very fortunate to get him. Knew that he had a bright future, and then for him to be able to play, I think it was game 4 or 5 that we decided to play him as a freshman last year. It was a tough decision to make, but we knew ultimately that if we played him last year as a youngster, that it was going to pay dividends in the future, and sure enough, it has. You know, he's very mature for a young guy. He helps out on special teams and things like that. He was playing on special teams before the injury and everything. So the thing that's awesome about him is still his best days are still in front of him. I mean, he's going to get so much better just with these repetitions and everything that he's getting, that we feel we got a diamond in the rough that's going to turn out to be one of the best that we've had around here.
Tremendous.
Let's talk about Northern Michigan. Yep. Similar stats to ours. Mm-hmm. Looks like it's going to be, similar type game maybe. Yeah. I notice they throw the ball 2-1 maybe than what they run. At least their stats show that. Of course, you can't always call on the stats. What do they do offensively? Are they more of a pro set? Are they,
Yeah, new offensive coordinator this year, and so they are more of a pro set. You know, they're very similar actually to Wayne State. They'll get under center, use a fullback and stuff, and then, depending on the down and distance, they'll get into shotgun and be a little bit more spread out and everything like that. So, talking with Coach Luke, they are about 50-50, with some of the things that they've done. Maybe throwing the ball a little bit more because, a lot like us, they've been behind in some games and things of that nature with their record and whatnot. But, our defense has to, just like in last week's game against Wayne State, we got to be able to stop the run, but have just better discipline with play action and things like that going into the game plan this week.
Defensively, they're 10th nationally taking away the ball, so their turnover ratio was very, very good. Do they do anything differently other than just get after it?
They're just good. Kyle Nystrom, their head coach, runs their defense as well, and he's got Division I experience at Central Michigan as a coordinator, and he was under Coach Anissa's staff at Ferris as a coordinator. They're just aggressive. They're not very flashy. They're not going to blitz as much as Wayne did and things like that, but they're just very well coached, and their linebackers are extremely good. Number 38, Dark Angelo, is one of the best linebackers we've seen on film. They're aggressive. They get after the ball. They're taught very well to go rip the ball out, create turnovers, things of that nature. So, our offense has to really do a good job of being physical and moving people so that we can get our run game established again and then be able to get open in the pass game with guys like Bryant and Noah.
What I find interesting is they're the best at taking it away in the GLIAC and ranked in the country. We are the best at not giving it up in playing through that with our backs and those fumbles. Does that get to be a point of something's got to give, or if everybody does their job and just leaves it to the play in the game, you're not looking to give up that fumble. They're looking to get it. If you break even on that, it still boils down to what you're doing with your offense, defense, and special teams.
Absolutely, yeah. And we watched them Sunday a little bit and said, guys, this is a huge challenge. Do not let the record fool you with these guys. Just like we would like teams to watch us and say, do not let the record fool you on that. So they do some things extremely well, and like you said, we have to do a great job of ball security like we've been doing. There's a big challenge in front of us to take care of the football. There's a big challenge in special teams. They cover kicks extremely well, as good as I've seen going into this year in terms of teams on film. This is just a big challenge for us to be able to come out and execute and play well and play disciplined.
What do you say to the seniors this week? This is their last game.
It's a wrap,
Go M.A.D day. They've had their whole career here, and it's emotional. I know all about that.
Yep.
What do you say to the rest of the team? What do you say to the seniors?
So oddly enough, just to kind of take inside of the huddle, as you would say, Dale, you know, on Sunday, we were very disappointed after the result of the game, but I actually had the seniors come up and stand in front of the team and talk to the rest of the team about, guys, if you're disappointed with our record and you don't think you have anything to play for, you have these guys up here. That's what you play for this week. You know, these guys are taking the field at Hans Stadium for the last time. They've been through a lot in their career here.
Yes,
you know,
they have.
this is a group that was recruited by Coach Reba and never got the thrill and experience to play under him and everything. So they got to know him through recruiting, but never got to be a part of his teams. And so they went through adversity right when they walked through the door at Northwood, and they're going through adversity now with Coach Haynes being out. So they've been through a ton. They've had their ups and downs and everything. But those guys, those seniors will go out and give everything they have one last time, you know, at home. And now it's up to our underclassmen to know that they have to go out and give everything they have. Because what I said to them, I said, you will someday, when you're standing up here as a senior, you will want those underclassmen to give everything they have for you as a senior. And it goes very fast. You know, guys like Bryant, he's going to be a senior before he knows it. It goes so quickly. So we have a ton to play for, and having it be senior day just gives us a little bit of extra motivation with that.
Well, I always find it interesting, too, and especially at this level, win, lose, or draw, the tradition and legacy of what's gone on in 60 years of football at Northwood University before these young guys even got here. And now you've got another changing of the guard where the seniors playing their last day, the young guys who have been under their tutelage that are now becoming leaders. Senior day means a lot for a lot of people, parents, educators, coaches, the support that we get for that. It's always interesting, the dynamics of that. If to play for nothing else, you're playing for that, and that's actually an awesome message.
Absolutely, and you talk about legacy. You know, there's some guys in that group that, you know, everybody's got their own story, but you think about guys like Dimitri Abro, who came to Northwood as a walk-on, and look at the career he's had. So you can use him as an example to other young men that come as walk-ons to say, you can come in here, have a phenomenal career, and earn your way onto the field. You look at Joe Garbarino, who, you know, unfortunately hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he'll give anything to be on that football field.
Bet he will.
You can use that as an example to guys to say, hey, you got to play through some things at times, and you got to give everything you have for this football program, and the rewards will be there.
Every day I wake up and I think about the football team and I think about the record. I think about guys like Abro.
And Abro and Spacuzzi,
Yeah, I do.
Garbarino.
I really think about those
That
guys
lot,
and
for
what
sure.
it'll mean to them to get a win this week.
Absolutely.
Here it is, Coach. The graphics on. Kickoff is 1 o'clock. It is Go M.A.D. It's senior day, and we are excited to bring that kind of energy back to the Northwood campus, and we continue to plan on a win just like you do. So 1 o'clock kick. Rich and I will be on the radio and the internet about 12:45, and you'll find us on 107.7 FM and 1490 AM and at GoNorthwood.com. I don't know if we have time. We're going to take a look at the matchups this week, guys, or we out of window. It's a wrap. All right. So if you want to know who's playing who this week, go to GoNorthwood.com, look it up, find it yourself. You just throw it into Google and it'll pop right up on your screen. So you're all set. We podcast these, we reproduce these. They're on Facebook. Northwood Replay keeps you in touch with what's going on with the football program, and we are excited. Go M.A.D. means simply this, and we're going to ask you to do it, and we ask you every week, and we mean it. Go away and go away mad. Go make a difference. For my partner Rich, for Coach E.J. Arnold, my name's Dale Robbins. Have a great Halloween day and a great weekend, everybody.